I'm gonna break down my song
You're not Jesus.
section by section, and we're gonna see what we can learn along the way. Let's go. So early on, one of the very first things I wanted for the song was for it to start out sounding like an old church recording, like something that had been pressed onto vinyl or recorded with a phonograph a really long time ago. And so the first thing to point out is just vinyl noise here. Nothing fancy, just a quick vinyl sample layered in. Which of course rides the line between anything else and your song sounding like lo-fi right out of the gate. But because of the piano, I think that it becomes clear what we're getting into. And the piano is what carries the whole song, really. It starts with this piano lick that I made using Contact ages ago, but luckily I bounced it out, and that means I can do stuff to it. Very important. Bounce things out as soon as they sound good. Audio is forever. Plugins, not necessarily. We start with one version of the piano lick sample, which has a really restricted EQ, constraining it to only a certain set of frequencies that make it sound like it's an old recording or over the phone or something like that. But if I open up the automation here, you'll see that it actually transitions into another version of the sample. And that version has a much more clinical EQ on it, something that makes room for other instrumentation and brings out that bright, poppy piano sound. So you're kind of moving from this lo-fi church memory into the more modern production of the song, the past abruptly brought into comparison with the present, which lines up with the song's intent. And now we're still in the intro, but the rest is basically like verse 0. And everything makes way for this one piano note sample. You'll see in the automation that the main piano drops a bit just so that note can really sing. And that sample, actually, that's not even the original note. It has a pitch shifter on it, and then the ever-popular OTT, and then it just sizzles. So now everything's starting to come in. We have our bass line. We also start getting our organ. Both of those being stock Logic plugins. Hello! I realized that I forgot to mention the brass and sax. And those are setting up this 1-2 pop that's going to be incorporated into the chorus later. All right, back to the video. If you scroll down, you'll see the toms, and this is where I learned something really interesting and cool. These samples, they don't play out, they end abruptly, and that's on purpose. Those stops kind of act like beats themselves, which at least help with the syncopation and the overall rhythm. We also have the claps here now, as well as the snare. And the last thing that you hear in the intro is a little guitar lick that I also made a long time ago, but luckily I bounced it out, and so I can put it in the track. A lot of stuff going on in this intro. We have almost everything going on in this intro, but then we bring things back down for verse 1. We still have that main piano driving everything, and the drums are largely similar to how they were before. We're missing the claps. That's to bring the energy down so that, once again, we can bring it back up later. We are basically using the same musical structure that was established in the intro. This is where things get brought even more down so that the energy can explode in the chorus. The star of the show musically is the vocal, and so we're bringing lots of attention to it by removing a ton of instrumentation. The organ and the 808s carry this musically. There's also a small riser in the background. But now it's chorus time. So we actually go one beat into the chorus before everything actually pops. We get that one and pop that was established earlier by the sax and the brass. We also don't have the piano during this chorus. We want to focus on the vocal and that hook. We're taking out the piano, and by taking things away at the beginning, we're giving ourselves more to use to add energy and momentum later in the song. It's also just a less is more kind of scenario. The 808s are doubled now. That was a choice. The claps are back just to enhance that snare. And then on the second beat here, you see we have crashes, and that's to enhance that hit when it pops. And then there's this part.
Son of God, do you hear my prayer?
One thing that's integral in that part is sine wave drops. Verse 2 is largely the same, but I wanted to highlight this one little area of flavor. I'm going to use an extremely technical term to refer to this flavor, that being doo-doo-doots. I'll solo those. And here's what it sounds like in the mix.
You pay for every day, but you can't stand to wait and you lecture like you're on the mound.
This was a lesson in seeing where I could work with my lyrics and the rhythm and seeing what I could add musically to enhance both. And like with the vocal rhythm, it's changed, so why not add something to reflect that change in the music? And that verse is fast. It's hard to articulate, and I am not the most articulate person, and so these little notes just help them land. So now most everything is set up. We're just balancing what we add and what we take away, balancing the energy. I extended the pre-chorus to 4 bars instead of 2. Again, increasing the drama, making you wait even longer for that next chorus. And this sounded really, really dull without a little something, and so I added a moment for the organ to shine. Again, incorporating those churchy elements that go hand in hand with the lyrics. Moving on to chorus 2. I put in these guys, these little guys. You know, white noise falls. And that's really it for the second chorus. We're just balancing things now, adding, taking away. Moving on to the bridge, this is what took me the longest to get around to. I searched far and wide for a virtual instrument that could do a solo for this really well. I really wanted a saxophone solo, but nothing I tried really worked and mostly fell apart the more I tried using them to write. But sensual saxophone did get really close. I tried recording a guitar solo myself in pieces, and that sucked. I figured maybe I could get somebody to do the solo, but I didn't really know anybody, and I also didn't want to deal with royalties. For example, if this song gets 500,000 streams, I might make 1 American cent. And at least just for my first song ever, I'd really like that to just be my cent. I decided again to try doing things myself, and I found and committed to a plugin that actually worked really, really well, and that plugin is Shreddage, the free version. This is not a paid ad or anything, but that plugin saved my bacon. You should go download it immediately and create a guitar solo with it. It's insane. And one thing that I wanted to point out to you is that this project file, it's a lot of audio and it's a lot of bounced out things, and it's also a couple of stock plugins. The bass line, the organ, the doo-doo-doots, those are all stock Logic plugins. It's not rocket science. It is a science that I am in no way an expert in, but it's not rocket science. I hope this might shed some light on doing things yourself for the first time and just finding what works. I would say I definitely didn't do everything the way I should have done. For example, the piano transition thing could probably have been done with automation. But again, this was my first go at creating a complete song. And if you do the same, you're going to mess up. And you're going to end up with a lot of exports and project files and a big jumbled mess until you don't. If you stick with it long enough, you may just find yourself at the end. If you want to hear the finished track, You're Not Jesus is available on Apple Music and Spotify and everywhere else you listen to music. But until next time, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a good one.